On this week's GTA 6 o'clock, is Trailer 2 coming within 3 weeks?
The GTA 6 campaign to this date has not looked like any other GTA campaign or indeed any other Rockstar campaign.
A new playtesting report discussed.
So there's something there that, for me, doesn't quite line up.
Plus, seasonal events in GTA 6. It's all here on this week's GTA 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to episode 70 of GTA 6 o'clock, bringing you GTA 6 news, info and analysis since 2023. Welcome along everyone and greeting from Los Santos. This week the gang are back together, so I am James JJ Jarvis and joining me in the studio this week is Dan DD Dawkins.
Good day.
Welcome back, Dan.
Hello. Good to be back.
Did you have a lovely holiday?
Oh, yeah, very lovely, thank you. Relatively internet free and back and refreshed and ready to watch Trailer 2 with you live right now.
Well, I was going to ask if you found Trailer 2 on your travels and would like to tell everyone about it right now.
Yes, it's in this suitcase. Oh, hang on, I haven't got the key. And no, sadly not.
Okay. Well, yes, you did miss a few things last week, which we can touch on again this week. But first up, we're going to talk about your favourite subject, financials.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
The Take-Two investor call has been announced for May 15th. In a statement that they said Take-Two Interactive Software today announced that it plans to report financial results for its fourth quarter and fiscal year 2025 ended March 31st, 2025, after the market closes on Thursday, May 15th, 2025. The company plans to hold a conference call to discuss its results at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 1:30 p.m. PT, 9:30 p.m. for our UK listeners. So that is about 3 episodes after this one that you're listening to right now, or in about 3 weeks' time. So we can talk about some things that I mentioned last week about the timeline in relation to this. That's obviously May 15th, big key date now, we would imagine. Last week we discussed that Mafia got a release date, like semi-confirmed by Take-Two, but, dubiously, but it almost certainly is happening. So they got August 8th as their release date, and then on May 8th, Hangar 13 are going to be at PAX East, where they're going to debut a new gameplay trailer. We imagine, me and Dan were just talking, we imagine that gameplay trailer was probably supposed to end with the release date and go, surprise everyone, it's coming in a few months' time. But now that sort of surprise has been taken off the table, but I suspect will still happen during that conference anyway.
Yeah, I guess they're doing a developer panel, so they'll get to go, this was supposed to be a surprise, or surprise, we've got a gameplay trailer.
Yeah.
And they can just be really upfront about it. But that's okay. I mean, at this stage, whilst the surprise is ruined, the release date isn't going to change because of that. They're clearly locked into what we believe to be August the 8th, and this was from an official post on the LATAM version of a Steam page, so it feels pretty legit to me.
All of which date discussion brings us to, do we think we could still get a GTA 6 trailer in April, which is this month, there's only like a few days left of April, or May before the investor call? And I think I was saying last week, and if I wasn't, I'm saying it now, I'd be less surprised now if that didn't happen. Unfortunately for everyone listening, I'm sorry. And actually that if the trailer came late May or after the investor call, I would now no longer be shocked if that happened, given the things that we know about the Mafia timeline. And I know they're different companies and Rockstar very much operate on their own, but all of the statements we've had of them, of Strauss saying it's a shorter window from, to build the hype. That's what we see works. You look at the Mafia window, they've essentially got a 3-month window from when they drop this gameplay trailer up into release. Yes, Mafia's had 2 trailers already, which is why I think we will get a second trailer before that. But it sort of now gives them, in a way, even longer to play with before they have to drop trailer 2, before they hit that 3-month window, if we're assuming it's coming out in October, November time. So I don't know. Does the investor call give you any sparks of hope, Dan, that we might get a trailer before that?
I don't know if it gives me more hope. Like, I think I could align myself to either way of thinking at this stage. And I think we've said consistently on this show that the past does not represent the future. You know, that is classic investing phrase. And the GTA 6 campaign to this date has not looked like any other GTA campaign or indeed any other Rockstar campaign. And you wonder how much of that was driven by the unprecedented leak and then, I guess, the want to say something to align with a major Rockstar birthday. Like, they had what was it, anniversary, was it, of theirs? I can't even remember.
25th,
right? So they wanted to align with that. So I can understand why they might want to put a trailer out there. But whether they were truly ready to roll out a campaign or whatever from there, history will be the judge. Well, I don't know. I don't feel any more optimistic, really, that we're going to get a trailer before May 15th now. All I think will happen is that May the 15th, there'll be a lot of questions to Strauss-Zelnick from analysts, just basically saying, when are you going to say something? And I think he might continue to straight bat it, which is what he's done in the last two calls pretty clearly. Though, not in the earnings call, but he did a follow-up interview where he just didn't talk about the word fall 2025 or release date at all. He just used release window. The language he uses and the questions he gets are going to be the point of interest. But I think I'm with you, and I don't feel now that there's a necessity. If they are adopting this model, which Mafia is using, which aligns with the hints he gave in the recent Bloomberg Business interview, they could do a 3-month campaign from, like, you know, trailer 2 being the starter gun of a 3-month campaign. And
well, I would think trailer 2 is not part of that 3-month campaign. I think you put trailer 2 out at some point, and actually your 3-month campaign then starts late August, early September.
So do you feel there's still a chance for trailer 2 before?
I don't think it's kicking off their 3-month marketing campaign. I think it is dropping before the big build-up of everything, because trailer 2 is just going to be, for want of a better word, cinematic. Like, it's not the cinematic trailer, but it's not a gameplay trailer. It's very much like trailer 1, with scenes, in-engine scenes that are, you know, fully representative of the game, but they're not. It's not gameplay. You don't see the HUD. You don't see people doing the things that you would do in the game, like the expansive, you know, GTA 5 trailers that we got that are like the 6-minute gameplay trailer.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's not that. We're not getting that. I think we're going to get, the next thing would be a story/characters trailer that more cements our place in the world and what's going on. Like, you're not going to get into the, and here's how the mobile phone works, or
no,
I think there might be you might see it in a cutscene and we can all speculate away on it, but I don't think they're going to lay all that stuff out. And in fact, a lot of stuff I don't think they're ever going to lay out. I think there's going to be a load of surprises, but that's going to be deep. But I'll be honest with you, like, looking at what they've done previously and mapping it to now is proving increasingly hard, and like a fool like me, our errand.
Yes. Yeah, my timeline, as mentioned last week, was, okay, if trailer 2 comes April, May, at some point, that's 5 months before release.
Yeah.
Sort of falls in line with a Mafia timeline previously. And then the gameplay trailer, the one that we do actually see actual gameplay mechanics happening with HUDs, and the full campaign then kicks off late August, early September, which is 2 to 2.5 months before launch, which also, now we know the Mafia date, does allow you to do all your marketing and release Mafia and then immediately switch to like GTA 6, which would marry up with Strauss's comments of what we've seen is when we give people one hit, it really gets them excited about the next hit. So it's like, play Mafia, and while you're playing Mafia, get excited about GTA 6, because that's coming in 3 months'
That's
time.
just That's not how real people think, though, is it? That's investor
That's
talk.
how I've started to think, Dan.
No, that's investor talk. That's the thing you tell investors, because they go, this is great. They're not cannibalizing anything. Like, I don't think anyone's... maybe some, but you're not going to be playing Mafia the Old Country going, do you know what I want more now? GTA 6. Are you?
Well, you're enjoying one big open world game and going, All right, I'd love to have another one that was set in Vice City, please. This would be great.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think what I guess the big questions are, and all this is a work back from, like, you know, what month is it actually going to release? Like we were talking yesterday with some, won't be named, some AAA developers, and again they were asking us, when's it coming out? People don't seem to know. There's not like a consensus industry gossip on this. It genuinely feels to be a sense of mystery about what's the release date.
Yeah.
So bravo Rockstar for keeping like a lid on it.
But as you have said before, there is that gap in the industry between, you know, October, November, where everybody is like, we don't want to release things around here because this could be bad for us.
Well, that's the predicted blast zone, isn't it? And that's when you think it would make sense, based largely on what Rockstar have said, fall 2025. And so October to December feel likely. October, November are traditional hot periods. And then you take your scaling back from 5 months to 3 months from that. But I guess it depends on the shape of once they're hot and live, what the campaign looks like and whether it will be like previous campaigns. I just don't know anymore. Like, honestly, I'm really questioning what the shape this will take.
Yeah, I did have written down, do we think that the investor call, is going to give us anything other than we're progressing as normal from Strauss and Co.? I feel like now that is probably what's going to happen based on I know we keep harking back to Mafia, but if you look at the Mafia release timeline, they have only said summer. Up until this point, they'd still only said summer.
Yeah.
If they had their way, they'd still only have said summer, but they've accidentally told everyone when it's coming out. And they weren't going to announce the date, we don't think, until that PAX event on May 8th. And then they're only 3 months away, having just said summer. They're 3 months. They're like, okay, the game's out in 3 months. You could say, for GTA 6, they're just saying fall up until 3 months before release, which would be end of October. No, end of August.
Yes. And I believe it, but
you can also believe it the other way.
Yeah, and what I think the point is, like, Strauss he started softening and making his language less accurate in the Bloomberg business interview, which to me felt like a tell of, just in case the game was going to slip or they weren't sure, he'd started to move away from clear commitment to fall 2025 messaging. So even if in the next earnings call he starts using fall 2025, that's actually an improvement on the language he started using because it's recommitting what they'd already said. I know that's really subtle, but what you've got to understand with all of these things these are fluid situations. So what might be true at 1 minute might not be true the next. So that what might have been very high conviction might have been thrown into doubt, and then it's high conviction again because the studio might have said, yeah, we worried about this, we fixed it, it's fine. Those are the things that feel a bit unknowable. And I guess the big point is, like, what's their latest cut-off for saying this game can't ship?
Yeah.
Or it has to be delayed by 3 months. And traditionally that's been, I'm trying to think of when they did it with GTA 5. That was about 5 months.
Well, as we talked about, one of those delays was like January when it was meant to be coming in spring. So it was possibly 2 months out.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. So I don't know. And I guess it's always the thing of, like, if it's not ready, it's not ready, and Rockstar will wait, right? But
what I have seen is some posts on social and some comments of people saying, well, if they confirm fall 2025 for GTA 6 again in that investor call, that we can be 100% sure that it won't be delayed, which I do not think is true. Like, even if in that investor call they say, yes, it's still coming fall 2025, I would love to believe that is definitely happening. But I can also see a world where it can still get delayed, even in this call they say everything's still all right, guys, don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can't say 100% because that's not.
You never do, as we know, Dan. You never say 100%.
Because almost you can't. Because almost to the day until it's actually out, It's never 100% because you have to. In fact, this is ridiculous, right? Like pedantic, but there could be a global server breakdown or some sort of shipping thing, and all the copies get burned. Like, there's all sorts of crazy things can happen, right? That mean 100% is a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but I think much more seriously. You can't say that because it could be that something just doesn't go right with the game. It might be something to do with what they're planning for GTA Online or whatever. They might at the last minute say, I'm sorry, it's just not ready. We thought it would be and it isn't. That would look terrible for them, but they can do it.
Yeah, and everyone would go, all right, fine, we'll wait another 3 months.
So you can't be 100%. But I do think if he reiterates it or the language becomes a bit more positive, that's a really good sign. And if I'm forced to bet, let's play that game. If you're forced to bet right now, what's your conviction of it coming out fall 2025?
It depends what day of the week it is. But reasonably confident, I think now. Like every show it seems to change.
I know.
But right now I'm feeling it does all sort of rely on what they're going to say in May.
Yes.
But as of today at this show, I'm still on board with fall 2025 and it coming out very end of October, early-ish in November.
And with what level of conviction to make it fun?
Oh, I'd put, if it was a horse race, 5-1, might win the race, definitely top 3.
What would that be percentage-wise then, you think?
75, 80?
Yeah, oh, well, okay. Well, actually, yeah, that's how I feel. I think I'm 70 to 80% certain it's going to be full 2025. And I think that's because I think the industry believes it. We've said this before. Everyone in the industry is acting that they see Rockstar's intention to be a rational threat, really, to say we intend to launch, and everyone believes them. Yeah, I believe them. I think the industry also believes them.
Right now they do. So
yes.
let's
Well,
wait
sure.
and see.
And Strikes might turn around in May and go, got bad news, guys.
Yeah.
But at the moment, I'm not feeling that. What I also agree is even if he says full 2025, it does not mean 100% is coming out this year. It's just more probable.
It's on track. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Next up then, we've got a new report from an alleged playtester, which was posted to Reddit this week. The headline that they posted this under was, I worked as QA on GTA 6 last year. Here's what I can tell you. Now, caveats up top. I am not saying that this report is accurate in any way. And we can't really, of course, because of all these reports, they're all posted on burner accounts, so they could just be fans making things up. But there are some interesting things here that are worth discussing and giving our opinions on anyway, whether or not this ends up being true. So up top, they do state, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I worked as QA on GTA 6 for a while, left mid last year, wasn't high level or anything, but I was around long enough to see and hear some wild shit. I don't expect this post to stay up long. And there's a couple of things that, as I say, not adding credibility to this either way, but if we take it with a pinch of salt and say, okay, let's pretend for a second that this could be legitimate, there's some things we can talk about. So they talked about the 2022 leaks and said some people were still caught off guard by how accurate parts of it were. There were meetings where they were trying to figure out if maybe something older had slipped out way before the public leaks even happened. Like some of the stuff in the fan map lined up a little too well with terrain data from earlier dev builds, stuff that shouldn't have been out there at all. That statement in itself, I can believe that might have happened. And this is going to come, I'm going to come back to this a lot. The challenge I maybe have with this is someone who's posting, who admitting at the top of this post says that they are low-level QA. Are they going to be aware of those high-level, what I imagine are high-level meetings of people going, how did all this stuff leak? Like, it's lining up too well with this data. Because low-level QA is, here's your car park, run around this, try and break it. They're not going, right, company-wide meeting, guys, to talk about the leaks and the terrain data and how this might have come out. So there's something there that, for me, doesn't quite line up. And I think there's a couple of times where this happens again.
It's not how organisations tend to work, and this is something that in the GTA 6 o'clock newsletter in the last 2 weeks, I've been rerunning some of the quotes from the interview with Ben Hinchcliffe, who worked as a designer on GTA 5. He quite literally worked there. It's legit. He definitely knows how that organisation works. In the scope of that conversation and the quotes we've run in the newsletter, I don't really get the sense he was that close to the central decision making. And he was several levels above QA. This is a guy who was literally designing missions and with the team helping him to make missions. And he would talk about, it was inference within his description of how the hierarchy would work, where, a script writer would then, and a script writer was having the work handed to him from above as well. So the big picture people are layers above. Now that stuff might trickle down by word of mouth and, like word travels and gets distorted, right, through the lens of the person telling the story. I think that could have happened, but yeah, it doesn't tie up to me that a relatively entry-level QA or whatever this leaker claims to be would have access to that kind of, and here's what the top line thinking is. That doesn't feel rational.
No. So I would bear that in mind as we go through some of these statements. The next one I thought was worth pulling out is they say the NPC memory stuff is way deeper than they had in Red Dead Redemption 2. People actually remember you for real. I stole a guy's bike in this little neighborhood during one of my test runs, and 2 in-game days later, I walked through that area again and he spotted me, pulled out his phone and started filming. It's like the world doesn't forget. The interesting bit here, again, pinch of salt, is the 2 in-game days. Something that we have definitely talked about before on the show of is GTA 6 going to work on a more weekly schedule where things happen Monday to Sunday? Is it a month? Is it taking place over a certain period of time? It is similar to a lot of the things that we've talked about. So to me, either says we're geniuses or this person has listened to the show and extrapolated a bit on what that could mean.
Yeah.
Or it's real. But the two of those things feel more likely to me than the other one, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not the real one.
I don't know. I do feel it. I feel in my bones and rationality and everything that the idea of all of these things that are being said feel really likely. Not likely.
Yes.
Possible to maybe as far as probable, because that's the natural evolution of a GTA game world.
Yeah.
Where you have a dynamic time system, to have NPCs who aren't just blank slates who see you for the first time every time you meet them, apart from story beat characters who basically repeat the next lines of script to you. Actual memory based on dynamic actions you performed is a really high level evolution for these sorts of games.
Yes.
So let's wait and see, right? That would be huge. And probably, tech people might be listening to this going, how would they do that? Or, maybe that's possible now. And we talked a bit about dynamic engine solutions, didn't we? Animation solutions. The memory stuff is, I don't know. I'm out of my depth there talking about that.
That kind of stuff, I feel, we did see a bit of it in Red Dead. I feel like, the next evolution of that is something a bit more advanced in GTA 6. Some people do remember certain things. But I think, again, this comes back to the statements of, I stole a guy's bike in a little neighborhood and then 2 days later went through that area again. There's a world in which they're trying to QA test that. But this feels like it's from I had a massive play session on the entire open world map and I did this one thing. And I just don't think that's how QA is going to be working in GTA 6. So there's little bits of inconsistencies here.
No, and there was another interesting, again, to go back to the Ben Hinchcliffe interview, he talked about, I said, what would you expect the GTA 6 team to be doing at this stage? And when I spoke to him, it was late 2024, November, December 2024. And it was a year out from what we thought, still could be the release. And he just said, well, there would be relentless bug squishing phase. And it would be all about optimizing the game just to make sure it works and it runs. And he says most of that is the really boring, laborious work of getting the player to do what you want them to do at very specific times. So that would be, we want you to trail this guy from A to B and then go to this room. And he says, then you watch someone play it and they get in the wrong car and drive in the wrong direction. Yeah. And he said and that's the stuff that's where all of the work goes. It's in either how do you cater to the player so that when they go the wrong way, it still makes sense and there's a way to bring them back on track. Or you just literally put the fence up, so to speak, and say you can't do that. And it's where you applied the guardrails, where you don't, how it all feels coherent. He says that's the work. He says that's QA relentlessly.
Yeah.
Test, do. So there might be people who are tasked with do anything you effing want and mess around, but I think there's probably loads of people tasked with bug test the shit out of this very specific mission, objective, checkpoint, whatever.
Yeah, like play this one bit of this one mission over and over
and just
again.
do that. I don't want you driving up there or flying over there. I just want you here reporting on this. Now, maybe within that, there are people whose role it is to mess shit up and go all over the place. And maybe, maybe when you've done your work bit, you do just mess around and explore the world because you're interested. But most of the work will probably be very task-oriented.
Yeah. As I say, I think a lot of, as we said, these statements are plausible, and I think these things could happen in the game. It's just, there is an easy way to write this post when you haven't seen any of the game based on, just being a little bit informed of how it works and going on GTA forums and Reddit and listening to shows like this. You could write a pretty credible, I played it and here's what happened. So there's a couple of other things I think we can talk about. They talk about the map being huge, not big, but just layered, and that they walked into a bait shop in a test zone, and the guy behind the counter had different lines of dialogue depending on what time of day it was. Also plausible.
Yeah.
And then there's another thing where he's like, there were also random conversations popping up in Slack about the Bermuda. I assume he means the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
No idea if it's a location or part of a bigger mystery, but people joked that it's going to last longer than the Mount Chiliad stuff in 5. This feels like the biggest red flag to me because it's mentioning all the things that I want it to mention. Big mysteries, Bermuda Triangle, Mount Chiliad, being able to solve it. But again, like we said earlier, I'm not sure, or I'm almost not convinced that a QA tester of any level would be in the same Slack channels as the devs who are actively discussing developments and secrets and things like that. Based on the experience of we have working with Slack, there were teams within even a company here that I can't get into their Slack channels because they're locked down.
Yeah.
And that's just, teams that I sit close to. So it would be weird for me if everybody within the company, they're like, this is just general GTA chat Slack channel. Go in and talk about what you want. I don't feel that is happening.
I mean, I don't know. It just feels unlikely that there'd be this sort of open discussion of complex things within the game in for example, the company GTA 6 chat channel of 1,000 people or something. That just feels too wild. I don't know. But do I think the Bermuda Triangle will be in the game and et cetera, et cetera? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Why would you imagine designing a game in that part of the world and not including the Bermuda Triangle when you're a series famed for Easter eggs and mystery?
Exactly. So a couple of things in there that are plausible but questionable, I would say. I saw a comment on Reddit saying, this is your typical creative writing post. Starts semi-believable, and then it quickly goes off the rails. This is not real and mostly a collection of things people have said that they want. I tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Another said, anyone with a basic understanding of how quality assurance works in the gaming industry knows this isn't how testing works. And then just for balance, somebody said, most likely fake, but could be real. I don't know what to believe anymore. So there you go. There's 3 statements that we've pulled out from that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and we will read some of them and talk about it next week. Sort of tied to what we just discussed, Dan, there has been another I worked on GTA 6 post. These both came out within days of each other, which is weird anyway. But again, another person using a burner account on Reddit who said certain teams focused on seasonal or event-based NPCs. For example, character density in areas like beaches or city centers varies depending on the day of the week. Mondays might see lower NPC volume at the beach compared to weekends. Some NPCs or tourists will appear only during specific dates or windows, I observed designs labelled Vespucci Beach tourists, San Fierro tourists. My first thing to note here is Vespucci Beach, San Fierro, etc. are not in Vice City. Vespucci Beach is Los Santos, San Fierro is San Andreas, Algonquin is an area of Liberty City. So either this is your first clue that it's all made up, or the speculation side in me kicks in and says it's a hint into how all of the GTA worlds will start to be connected, so you can see people or NPCs wearing shirts from other GTA cities, like you see people wearing university jumpers in and around towns these days from all over the world. And that could be a way to start connecting those universes. And could you buy these shirts and jumpers and things in shops for your characters in GTA 6? Like, I can see a world in which that happens. And you start getting, oh, that's the university from San Andreas that they're wearing the hoodie from. And that they must be on holiday in Vice City. Like, that would be cool.
Yeah, I feel this is in the realm of Mulder from the X-Files, I want to believe. Because
I did used to have that poster. So.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. And we all want to believe. That's why we like Rockstar games. Like, I think that's a great idea. Isn't that a cool idea? And that makes total plausible sense, and how you might think to design it, and would set up the premise of a GTA world and a bigger GTA Online. That's all true. It's also a thing, if you were a leaker, you would consciously put in a post because you knew exactly what you were saying, because it would cause people to speculate.
Yeah.
And I think it's a little bit too on the nose for me to go, Vespucci Beach, San Fierro, Algonquin. It's literally name ticking, like one game, tick, tick, tick. These are all different things. It's too conscious, I think, in the way it's cherry picking the things it lists. So almost knowing the effect that would have on an educated forum or a Reddit post. I guess that's the battle-worn cynic in me responding to that.
No, and I agree. I think this is much like the other post that we discussed, in that these are things that if you were going to write something, these are exactly the things that you could write that feel believable. Obviously, there's no way of proving that they're not believable until the game comes out, or until someone does a big, long podcast about them, and then they can go, ha-ha! Look, I got them to talk about it with my crazy theory. But all that being said, I think that is whether it's going to be real or not, would be a cool thing to do in GTA 6, is have different T-shirts and locations from other GTA games and allow you to buy them in the shops. That'd be a cool little Easter egg. They also went on to say you'll see some NPCs at the beach on weekends in beach gear and in business apparel Monday through Friday. So they've seen designs labelled NPC 00172 beach attire and NPC 00172 work attire. There will also be in-game events and concerts where tourists wear branded T-shirts mirroring real-life event culture, think conferences, concerts, and similar occasions. Kind of thing that we've been saying for a while, that in-game events could happen in GTA 6.
Yeah.
So maybe this poster is a super fan of all of our theories, and that's where they're getting this from. But this is a thing that I can also see happening. There is an in-world event for a band, and a lot of the NPCs then start wearing that band's T-shirt for a set period of time because they've been to the concert. That would just mirror real-life activities and be a very cool way to expand the realistic feeling of the world of GTA 6, to say, look, these people within this game are doing what you see when you go out in the real world. And if there is an event or a business conference or whatever, the people's outfits and attitudes change because, Love Fist have come to town. So everyone's now wearing Love Fist t-shirts. Like, totally plausible thing that I can see happening. Now I'm going to say, I would like this to happen. Please, thank you, Rockstar.
Yeah, it's an expansion on what we've talked about in the show. I think it's very plausible. And it could be that someone's listened to our show or shows that have listened to our show, and this is how ideas spread. And a lot of this is, like I've talked about in a previous podcast, this idea of, the infamous, is GTA $100? That has almost become a self-fulfilling mind virus, where the more people talk about it, the more the conversation propagates, And this feels like a mutant variant of that, where you go, and what if there's T-shirts? And maybe there will be. And that would be cool. So I'm in for it. I've no idea how true this is.
No.
It's nice to think it aligns with things that have been said on this show, but I don't know if that makes them true.
Yeah. All we need to do now is see someone posting about refuelable vehicles, and we'll know that they've definitely played the game.
My life.
What I do think all of these posts seem to be agreeing on, though, at least, is in the speculation space, days of the week or some kind of timeline that cycles through, times, has become a theory that people are on board with. I am also on board with that thing. I think that, would be great to happen. So,
and I guess people want it. People seem to want it enough to keep talking about it. So that's good, and almost, again, feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Let's see.
Well, if you have any of your own theories or speculation, please let us know in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, you can get in touch on Twitter at GTAVOclock or via email gtavIOclock@gmail.com. Do not forget that there is a newsletter that goes out every Thursday. That will be coming out this Thursday, so tomorrow, as you listen to this
basically
show.
24 hours from now-ish. It's at 6 p.m. GMT every Thursday, give or take the odd gremlin with the tech. Sign up at gamesradar.com/newsletter, or look out for the link. We'll attach it to this show description.
If you are listening on YouTube, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the like button. That would be very nice of you to do so. Thank you very much. And then come back again next week, where we will be here with another episode of GTA 6 O'Clock.